Tina. Tina, are you there? Oh, it's you. I got Oh my God, that's me. Okay, we're side by side mode.
Okay.
Can you do that one?
Yeah, them being full as well.
Yeah.
Activity.
Yeah.
No, and when I was up as a Boston area, I was. I can do it, but I.
Now you're probably speaking through your computer.
I'm muted.
Right?
Nope.
Oh, you're muted. Okay, so you can hear us on the meeting, huh? Now, can we hear that?
Intentional for me too, you know.
You want me to give like
That'll be the next.
Yeah, you know, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but even city. I'm the only one. The rest of my family, they're still in Brockton, you know, that whole side.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know. I just have food. I don't got no food. I'm here.
True.
They don't have good food in certain places.
My sister lived in.
Hello, welcome.
Something, but
I am too. I'm muted here.
Oh.
Is it this?
I think you're hearing the sound coming from the Zoom meeting, correct?
Yes. I'm gonna mute my computer.
You can mute, yeah, you can mute your own computer, but we should still be able to hear us on the speakers here.
So.
No.
So the sign at 5
Yeah.
and the signs are pointing people around to go through this door.
Oh, that's why you said this was locked. Okay, I missed it.
So we should have a sign there for the commissions, I think.
Yeah, I think, well, I just know that we
You
came in the
didn't see
main
the
door.
sign?
We saw the sign up like immediately, but then it was not clear what we should do. So then we came inside, and
Okay.
somebody said, are you here? And we said, yes. Apparently there's another.
Something going on.
That's interesting. Okay, so
Said no.
is there nobody else on the other end
So,
right now? Maybe
I
that's
am.
why
Oh, good. I turned on closed captions. Good.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay.
Okay.
You're on the other end. Oh, but you're
You want me to
muted.
say something?
But you're muted, so.
Ready?
That name tags and badges here.
This is that one.
Great.
For whatever reason, your name was.
So hopefully that will ring true for the people on the other end that are actually remote. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you wouldn't want to
Just
do
a
that
colleague's
here.
coming in.
Oh, great.
I'm
Okay.
in,
Yeah.
in, oh, good.
Oh, there you
Here she
go.
comes.
Yeah.
And then you have names.
So if I'm gonna speak, what should I speak? This?
Yeah, definitely mute your
This is all
computer.
muted. This is all muted.
Yeah, and then just speak through here.
Hi, Tina. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh,
Tina, we can hear you in the room as well. All right, test. I'm gonna mute you. We're both MCSW.
You got the same, you got the same logo.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, we all do that. I need to change that to a photo.
All right, so there you are.
There is something on here.
Okay, so
What is this?
say something starts to go haywire. What should I mute first? Mute this? Make sure that I'm on mute.
Start, in other words, if there starts to be some sort of echo.
Feedback, yeah.
So right now, these feed into what you're seeing on the
Yeah.
screen.
Thank you, dear.
So
And I
yes,
saw
so if
you do it
mute
through
there,
this.
If you mute that, now don't worry about that.
Okay.
That's just making sure that you've got the right inputs and outputs.
Okay.
But if you click on mute,
And Tina, can you say something again?
Yes.
Oh,
I
can
have
hear-
no,
Great.
I don't see your video. Are you going to have a video?
We're gonna start video testing right now.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect.
Oh, okay, so it's that.
Yeah.
camera.
Yay.
of course, we can highlight it, but I think you probably want to see the remote. Oh, you actually want to see your presentation.
I
for the
want to
most
see
part.
both if I can.
Yeah.
Ideally is a side by side of the presentation and the room and the
Okay.
Zoom.
Yeah, no, I don't know Zoom quite so well, but I'm pretty sure there are a few different ways to split up the view, right? Let's see.
And also, I gotta be honest, is there a way to get the view not on me, but on the commissioners? Like, how do I activate that camera?
That's
Yeah,
actually not us. That's PTV, our local broadcasting.
Oh,
Yeah, and I don't think you've incorporated them, right? That's
No.
that, yeah. But so now granted, so you should be able to see us over here. Let me just sit down and speak over here.
yeah, if you can switch it, I just see you, Ellen.
Hello, I'm gonna try to grab the camera over. Can you see me over there?
yes.
I can see
Now you're
Meredith.
back.
I see Meredith.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not super smart, but eventually it should grab, whoever's speaking or moving. Honestly not sure how it works.
So Ellen, I see the table where I assume people will testify. That's what I'm saying.
I see the table as well.
And granted, if you always want to have the view on the same person, we might be able to
I want
fix
the
it.
view always on that front.
Always
table.
on them. All right, so let's see how we can modify the.
No.
Okay, I still see the testifiers. Are you playing with cameras?
Yeah, we're playing with cameras.
Stand by.
Okay.
Although in reality, it would be cool to see the
It
testifiers.
would be
too.
good
Yeah,
to see
both.
everyone. Unfortunately, it's not super.
So let me ask you this, Ellen, does anybody not want to be seen on camera that's testifying?
Not that I know of yet. I'll ask Shalay in a minute.
Okay,
We should not do that.
Have not, okay.
Yeah, we should not.
All right, good
Because
catch.
we haven't done the waiver,
Okay.
So just in case, make sure that it doesn't.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
That's actually a good point. Oh, okay, much better. Now I can see the whole room.
yeah. So we see the people in the room. We still see the testifying table and Ellen. So I don't know if there's a way to shift it to the commissioners.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. We honestly don't use it that way, so I'm gonna have to fiddle around with that. Let's see what we can do. So this camera control doesn't seem to be like grayed out. So
How do I get broadcast TV here in an hour?
Oh.
Is there a liaison I can call? I'll
You have
call
to
him.
pay. I'm
how
sure.
much? I'll make a donation.
We can't go back to the full hall.
That showed just the audience, not the commissioners.
Right, but it will do.
See what we can do. So tracking mode being off is really just sending it straight forward. Looks like maybe this will allow us. No.
Hi, Kinsey. Thanks for joining us. Give us a minute. We're just doing some testing, please. No problem.
Yeah, I just sometimes.
Oh, maybe I have it. Save it.
That's better.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Oh, this is very nice. Okay, so this is basically a.
I don't know if you can zoom out versus in and then shift. I don't know. Let's see what, yeah.
Pin her, yeah. Pin it.
What is it? Pin?
Yep.
There we go. Oops, what's this?
So Ellen, is this what you're settling on? Because it still shows you.
No, we're just moving it around, Tina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's taking us a while.
Go back out, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Tyler.
Tyler, go back out. Remember how you did the minus?
Sure.
Go back the other way.
Yeah, she's here. I just said hello to her. Kinsey, hey, can you come on for a moment?
Yeah,
You're
so I
into
don't
this
know
for
if
a
I
minute.
can-
We're Hi there.
Can she see me?
She can, hang on one second. No, she can. Yeah, we're in a bad spot.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Do you have a team?
Yeah, she should be coming soon.
I think.
Okay,
what
so
we'll
are
have
you
to
gonna,
do
are you gonna do the
actually
traditional switch back and forth?
is
I'm wondering if it's easier
in
to
a
just
little
leave you
bit
both pinned,
And then drag it
or if you
over.
want to signal when
One
you
way.
switch. Sometimes that's disruptive.
Hmm.
So will you kind of offline discuss with her if she's comfortable just to leave you both pinned? Because I know when you're off,
that means you're not like, then you can't eat and like go to the bathroom, stuff like that. So if you're
Right.
comfortable being pinned, it might go smoother. If you prefer not to, then just kind of work out with, are you running the Zoom?
Yes.
So then work out with Ellen how you're gonna
Looks
signal
like
that
it's far
you're gonna
over, I
pin and
think.
unpin and pin and unpin, because it just kind of flashes funny.
Yeah, no, that makes
uh,
total
yeah.
sense. One thing, if you give both of us co-host abilities, we can manage the pinner spotlight ourselves.
Even better.
Even better.
Okay,
I think that would work better, yeah.
As well.
okay, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Awesome, great.
And we're just doing a little bit of testing here till 5, so come back in, 20 minutes or so.
Perfect, sounds good.
Thank
Okay.
No
sure.
problem. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Too far out? Or will that be good? You have the testify table, but
I
not
think
the
that
virtual.
looks, I think that looks good. If there's a way you can shift it just a tad more to get,
Either move the TV.
We're gonna move the
or-
TV.
We can maybe tweak it a little bit because it's just sitting up top there. Who's viewing the TV though? You're also gonna have people here that want to
Yes.
be viewing the TV.
But
So I think
less-
we only want to move the camera.
Remember something about Mary?
Mary,
Something about Mary? Remember that
Yes.
movie? The hair job?
the hair job? Yeah.
It was just on my hands. Are you sure it was not there doing? Right, just like something about Mary. Oh. I was like, she touched it and I said, you don't want me to tell you what I think.
Tina, are you able to give co-host abilities to both interpreters, please?
Here, do you want-
yeah, I'm looking to see if I can. I think I'm the co-host though. You're the host, so only you can do it, Ellen.
There,
Okay, thank you.
okay, so you're gonna have,
So Sarah and all of them, yep. So those ladies can sit over there. So Ellen,
Yes, ma'am.
so because you have your laptop,
Yes,
why don't you and Shai sit over here,
that's actually a great idea.
right?
Can I bring these with me? Over there?
you can.
Okay.
Yep. I'll bring it.
There you go, see? Thank you so much. That's,
Oh, this is exactly what I needed. And we can have 2 more commissioners sit there.
yes. So because of the way the camera is, and it's because of where we at, so. Here. Second in order. That would be, Rebecca. Yep. All right. I'm here. Huh? Oh, next to me? Oh, yeah, no, don't put out. No, put Leslie in over there. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. You know what? Move Tanisha to, yeah, yeah. We don't want her to have play. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. so.
This is what we'll get you next time.
Huh? Oh, yeah. There you go.
I only wish they had more blackout for these windows.
I know,
'cause
it is a
This
little-
is the time they have meetings, and that's where the sun is.
Really? Oh, wow.
Okay, do me a favor. Just
Hey,
remember-
Ellen, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you in the
Okay.
entire room.
Oh, good. Did you get my message about we're having an extra speaker in the virtual room?
No, I'm sorry, I did not. On my phone, I'm looking now.
Yeah, I sent emails and I sent texts and I guess nobody's getting them, but, if
Well,
you
under
can
weather.
if you can add Stephanie Taylor, so she's going to join us virtually and she does want to testify.
If you could do me a favor, Tina, and make that change to the run of show.
Yep, I tried and it doesn't save for some reason. I tried.
Now, if I, so I just,
Taylor, that's,
Oh, yeah. She's one of our commissioners out of Bristol County.
Yes, she will be here. And also Amy Peters is going to come virtually and not in person. I got a text from her.
Okay,
I'm updating now, Tina.
so in your list, Tina, you have Rep Vieira, you have, who else did the electeds he said was coming?
We have Kip Diggs,
Right.
Sarah Peak, who will be in the physical room. We have
Yeah.
Rep Vieira, who will be virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like when I choose the user to end, it switches to speaker. Unless you're familiar with a way to. put them side by
Tina, how do we spotlight?
Hold on one sec, I'll show you. Give me one quick sec. So I'm gonna spotlight this. Do you see it?
Yes. Okay, the room is now spotlighted. Now, please
Yep.
spotlight yourself as a speaker.
You want me to do it? Okay,
Yes,
hold on.
please.
Give me one sec. Actually, I probably can do this easier. I just have to, I can't spotlight myself.
no,
That's weird.
Okay, let me try to
Um,
spotlight you.
Let
Where's
me
the button?
spotlight you. Give me one sec.
Where do you see spotlight, Tina?
it would be.
If
in your-
you, that's weird. That is so strange. The only spotlight for some reason is the main room. Let me try one of the I'm glad we're testing. Oh, you know what? I'm not the host. You're the host, Ellen, so you're gonna be doing this unless it's easier for you to.
I'm gonna make you the main host, Tina.
Yeah,
You
why
are
don't you
now-
do that? Yeah,
You are now main host.
all right. So let's try this again.
Set
It's
that
not
cloud
doing
zone.
spotlight, where is it? Oh, that's crazy. Click on
Oh,
Tina's,
right here.
Tina's,
On this table.
and then that little dot.
Pin.
That's bizarre. Okay, let me, oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me,
Oh, I
I think
see
I'm
it.
gonna have to go in a different way to do
No,
this.
I think I see her doing it. Would you say, Tina?
I think-
For some reason, I can't spotlight. I don't know why. All right,
Yeah, all I see is pin. I do not see spotlight.
well, that's because you are now a co-host.
But the co-host should be able to spotlight, but it wasn't there.
Yeah,
It
they
wasn't
should
there anyway.
be. I don't know what's going on here, Ellen. Yeah, we should be able to spotlight.
I think you
I
have
can
to
only
turn your
spotlight-
camera on. You
I
have
can
to-
only spotlight the main room. For some reason, it's not letting me spotlight.
Oh, Shatia says it has to do with cameras.
I think if
And
you don't have your
Shai, we're
camera
just learning
on,
that these
yeah.
are public access TV. So we can only use this one. I was trying to turn on that one and they're broadcast television.
So the interpreters are here and we're just letting you know that our spotlighting is working. And I think
We
that's
tried
because our
so hard.
cameras are
I'm
on.
gonna move this.
The only way,
Oh,
we-
hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I think I have figured it out.
the only way we could do it is maybe move this TV a little bit.
How does that look?
You over here.
Good, we can see both interpreters and the room.
Okay.
Hi, interpreters. Thank you. Welcome. We're just doing testing. You still got like another 20 minutes.
Okay, good.
I was fine with it.
she was.
She sat herself
I'm the
there.
one that sat the card, look.
So I have a quick question for the interpreters. Which of you is doing the first hour?
So we're actually splitting it in 20-minute increments.
Okay.
I will be starting us off for the first 20 minutes and then Kinsey will be going from there. And I think we can manage the spotlighting ourselves.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no
Okay, good.
problem.
So Ellen, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm just testing with Christine. Welcome, Christine. I am not seeing, this is just weird. The spotlight has disappeared again. So let me see if I, pinning Christine Monsko will remove all spotlighted videos for everyone. Okay, do I want to continue? No. All right, so we got to figure this out.
Tina, you got to give me a second. You come over through the loudspeaker. Give me one moment, okay? Tina, I'm sorry. I need to be made host again so I can screen share. Or can you enable it?
Hold on a second. Okay, you're the host. Ellen, is it better if I text you?
Tina, yes, but we are going a mile a minute. You're going to have to give me a minute. I'm sorry. So Tina, now on our screen here in room, we see both the slideshow, ourselves, and both pinned interpreters. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, rock on. I think we're in great shape.
Okay, the only question I have is about spotlighting other folks because we were
Oh,
going
Tina,
to.
I'm sorry. I'm going to call you on your cell, okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hit rock.
Testing, testing. For privacy, the whites. So it's just this guy. Mute here. Yep. Sorry. Yep, they're both muted. I think we're good. Good. There. Oh my God, look how nice y'all look. Wait, I know we're supposed to be starting. Smile, guys. Oh, a reminder to please shut your phones off. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us online. Give us just a moment. Chair, we're ready when you are.
Hello, good evening. Both of those in person and online, welcome. My name is Dr. Sarah Glenn Smith, and I am the chair of the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. On behalf of the MCSW, we would like to welcome all of you, and we'd like to also acknowledge that this meeting is being held in Provincetown, Massachusetts, the traditional land of the Wampanoag people. We pay our respects and show our gratitude. It is great to be with you all. This is also my first in-person hearing since being appointed, and I am pleased that such a wide array of local residents, organization stakeholders, and elected officials were able to attend our first public hearing in more than 2 years. I'd also like to thank our incredible executive director, Shaitia Sproul, and her talented team. There's a lot going into planning these events, and much of their work is often behind the scenes, but very much appreciated. The MCSW was legislatively created in 1998 as an independent state agency, seeking to advance equality for all women across the state and to promote their rights and opportunities. The commission is comprised of 19 volunteer commissioners appointed by the governor, Senate President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the Caucus of Women's Legislators. We also have 13 regional commissions that have 9 commissioners each, with the exception of Cape and the Islands that represent this region here, who have 13 seats. If you are interested in the work that we do, please visit our website and our Facebook page. The commission represents and recognizes all women regardless of their age, race, color, creed, abilities, language, socioeconomic status, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender at birth. Together, we are responsible for studying, reviewing, and reporting on the status of women in the Commonwealth, and are charged with advising executive and legislative bodies on the effect the proposed legislation has on women. Our purpose is to provide a permanent and impactful voice for women throughout Massachusetts. MCSW has made much tangible progress on key issues, a trajectory we are able to continue with the help and direction provided by you, offering your narratives. It is not always easy to share your story in front of a group of strangers, and we are grateful for your bravery. It makes a difference, and we are here to ensure that your experiences see positive changes for women. We can't do this work without all of you, so thank you for your input. And as we continue to work toward advancing the status of women, both in the Cape and Islands area here and across the Commonwealth. I would also like to thank the Cape and Islands Commission on the Status of Women for their support in organizing this hearing, and to thank the Provincetown Town Hall for allowing us to host this event here. I will now ask my sister commissioners to each briefly introduce themselves, starting with those in person and then those with us virtually.
Hi, everyone. It is wonderful to be here with you today. I am Rebecca Bacht. I am this year the Program and Planning Chair, which is the committee that is in charge of planning these hearings. And I am just so happy to be back in person in one of my favorite places in the Commonwealth. And I was appointed in 2017 by Governor Baker, and I live in Newton with my spouse, my 2 kids, and my very energetic dog.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Ann McGee, and I am an appointee of the Women's Caucus of the Legislature. And I reside in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and this, I believe, is my 4th year on the commission. And this year I am the Secretary of the Legislative and Public Policy Committee.
I'm Tanisha Arena. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I was appointed by the Legislative Caucus. This is my first in-person meeting. I am a resident of Springfield, so it took a little ride to be here with y'all today. I'm excited to be a part of this work and hear what's happening for you in this part of the Commonwealth.
Good evening. My name is Audrey Hall. I was first appointed to the commission by Senate President Spilka in 2018, and then recently appointed to my 2nd term. I come from Framingham, Massachusetts, originally from New York. And I am this year serving on 2 committees, our Budget and Finance Committee and our Legislative and Public Policy Committee.
Hi, my name is Gameldi Carvalho. I am a Senate President appointee as well. I am the Vice Chair of the Legislative and Public Policy Committee and excited to be with you today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Meredith Tewitt. I am from Boston, Massachusetts, appointed by the Women's Legislative Caucus. I'm Chair of Legislative and Public Policy Committee, and it's a pleasure to be down here with you in Provincetown.
Chair, would you like to call on them?
Sure. Are they all up on screen?
They're
I'll
all on
start
screen
with
and
Commissioner Monska.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christine Monska. I'm a commissioner on the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. I'm currently serving as secretary for the commission. I was appointed about 2 years ago by the Caucus of Women Legislators, and I'm joining you from Auburndale, Massachusetts, but originally from all over Western Mass, and really looking forward to everyone's testimonies today.
And my cohort, Dr. Aisha Miller.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Aisha Miller, and I have the pleasure of serving on the commission as the vice chair. I was appointed in 2021 by the Women's Legislative Caucus, and I'm just happy to be here. I come from Mattapan, so welcome all.
Commissioner Fox.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jean Fox. I hail from the town of Freetown in southeastern Mass. Formerly on the Bristol County Commission on the Status of Women. I spent 9 years there launching, hi Stephanie, launching my 3rd term with the State Commission. It's been an honor to be part of this incredible team. It's a super honor to be joining you this evening. I'm looking forward to hearing your testimony. I'm currently Vice Chair of Program and Planning. Thank you.
Commissioner Shaw.
Hi, my name is Sonia Shah. I joined the commission this spring, appointed by Senator Spilka. I'm coming from Natick, Massachusetts, although I was born and raised in North Central Massachusetts. I'm excited to be back with the commission. I actually worked for the commission 20 years ago, so I heard testimony then, and I'm excited to see where things are today.
We also have Commissioner Fleckner, who I believe is not on yet. And then the most recent past chair, Commissioner Clark, I believe is also not with us, but certainly strongly represented. So I was appointed by Senate President Spilka roughly 2 years ago, and I am a resident of Holliston, where I live with my wife and 2 children. Thank you to all of you. I would now like to welcome the elected officials and public servants joining us here in person as well as online, and invite them to introduce themselves. And if you could come up to the table so that we can hear you, that would be wonderful. Representative Sarah Peak.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Provincetown. It's wonderful to have you here. And I commend you for making the trip, whether it was by car or by boat, out to the tip of the Cape. And I hope you had a chance to walk around and enjoy a little bit of Provincetown. I'm particularly proud to have you here because you are in my district, the 4th Barnstable district that stretches from Harwich to Provincetown. And also you're in my hometown.
All right.
And I have spent time, I began my political career as a member of, as we talk about women making progress, at the time I served on the board, it was called the Board of Selectmen. And I sat in one of those seats right there. And we have since amended our charter, so it is the Select Board. So to be back in this room and to have the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, to serve in the legislature as a proud member of the Caucus of Women Legislators, with a minority, you guys probably know better than I do. Actually, some of our members were plucked away by the Biden administration, whether it was to serve as an ambassador or with FEMA, or as you know, your rep from Holliston left us. But at any rate, very proud to be one of the all too few women who serve in the Massachusetts legislature. I am here today with great colleagues. I don't know if Representative Vieira has signed in yet, but several of our colleagues, and Representative Steve Exaros from the other end of the Cape. His district is Barnstable and Sandwich, and parts of Bourne. Anyway, other members of the legislature are at Cape Cod Community College. They're having a dedication today for the new science building. I chose to be with you. My heart is with
Thank
women.
you.
So here I am. Just briefly, a few issues which I know other people are going to touch on. My good friend Mary Tuitt cued me in that you guys are focusing on the issue of the sane nursing crisis that we are facing here, and we'll be sending a letter in. The Cape delegation is, I thought we were on top of this and seeking a delay of the implementation of telemedicine for 6 months or so, until I picked up the Cape Cod Times today to read the announcement that DPH has announced that they are going forward. Now, I've only been in the legislature 16 years and the senior member of the Cape and Islands delegation. Nobody bothered to pick up the phone to tell me that a decision had been made that was different than what our conversation was when we had a meeting. So I'm just sharing that with all of you by way of background. I'm also pleased you're here because while LGBTQ people live all over from one end of the Commonwealth to the other, from Pittsfield to Provincetown, Provincetown is known as a destination. It was a place during the height of the AIDS crisis when men were dying all too rapidly, and all of us went to too many memorial services where they came to find safe haven. It's been a place where women have come to reinvent themselves and find a new life. My wife and I came here to open a small business. We ran a bed and breakfast for 23 years that we have recently sold. So kind of being in the heart of what is looked at as an LGBTQ Mecca, I'm pleased that you're here, and I look forward to the testimony today, because while it is Mecca, it's not Shangri-La. And I will put it that way. And in fact, an issue that I would highlight for you is the issue of the LGBTQ community as we age, in particular, how this affects lesbians and trans women. And there is a great commission on that I created, actually was my legislation that created the LGBTQ Aging Commission, and they do great work. And I think there may be an opportunity for these two commissions to work together for the betterment of the aging LGBTQ population. We're dealing with an issue right now, actually in a nursing home facility where partners have been separated in a way that I believe if they were a straight couple, for lack of a better word, a non-same-sex couple, that separation would have been handled differently. We're working through the LGBTQ Aging Commission to do training at that facility, to bring awareness and all of that. And one might think, well, on Cape Cod in the year 2022, we wouldn't have to do that. Hasn't that work already been done? But clearly that kind of work needs to continue. I think you'll hear about childcare, and I'm so proud to live in this little town, which I believe is only one of 2 towns on the Cape anyway, that has a diversity, equity, and inclusion officer here. And my good friend Donna Walker is sitting right behind me, and I think she'll be testifying later. So I've taken up enough of your time. I'm here to listen as well. And again, I just want to welcome you to Provincetown and thank you for making the trip out to the tip of Cape Cod and bringing government to the people. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Gonzalez. Would you like to say a few words? No.
Oh, sorry.
I think that's what I have down.
He's here online.
Oh, online?
We have
Okay.
Rep Vieira online.
Okay.
Hi, this is Rep Vieira, just left Cape Cod Community College where we cut the ribbon on a new science, technology, engineering, and math building, which hopefully will create greater pathways for our young women to get into the sciences and those traditionally male-dominated fields, which quite frankly, women are probably better equipped to do those jobs. I also want to just give a great shout out to the group that met this morning. Our Cape Cod Community Foundation announced the establishment of the Women and Girls Fund, and some of the research that they presented this morning. I'm very interested to hear the testimony today to see how that lines up with some of these opportunities that we're going to have on Cape Cod to invest in making changes going forward. And I know my good friend from Falmouth, Sandra Feynman Silva, is on the line as well. And she's been steadfast along with Senator Moran in advancing our common start and advancing early education and care. And so having been a member of both commissions on early education and care, we have a lot to do to make continued investments. We did some this year, but continued investments in the childcare arena so that we can support our women, our families, and our future. So I very much look forward to hearing all the testimony as I continue to drive back from the college.
Well, I applaud your abilities to multitask. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice to have you here. Thank you very much. Representative Kip Diggs.
No.
No. Somebody online?
No.
No? How about Caleb White from Senator Elizabeth Warren's office? In person? All right. Soros? Yes. Would you like to say a few words? Thank you.
We would just say everyone's name and then.
For the
you would
record,
get there.
I've been giving your name wrong 3 times, but I am so glad you're here.
Oh, wonderful. Me too. Thank you. You could just call me Rep X. It makes it easy,
X.
easy.
And there is a cool factor there, so I like it.
Thank you. To follow Rep Peak is really special for me. I hope you know how special she is and how she brings credibility to this job and this position. Me, I'm just a kid from New Bedford that grew up in a tenement. I served for 40 years as a police officer in Yarmouth. And one of my officers was shot to death and our police dog was shot. And that led me to leave the job that I love and run for office and do something that I had never done. And I ran and we won. And today I started at my home in Barnstable, drove to Providence. We signed the Nero law, which allows police dogs that are injured in the line of duty to be treated and transported in an ambulance to try to save their life. We passed it in Massachusetts. And then today in Providence, we passed it in Rhode Island. So very proud of that. It shows you how you can take something and fix it. So I came from Providence to P-Town, but I live in Barnstable. I represent the 5th Barnstable district, which I call the Fightin' 5th. That is Barnstable, half of Barnstable. I share it with Kip Diggs, Rep Diggs, and Olive Sandwich and half of Bourne, which I share with Rep Vieira. My wheelhouse kind of is safety, the protection of people. That's my life. And now I'm able to do it in this job. So the same situation, sexual assault nurses, which we have some of them here, is in my heart. We were on the front page today, apparently, on the Cape Cod Times. I haven't seen it yet, but we're here to talk about that. And the other is domestic violence and sexual assault. I was a sexual assault investigator. I've seen women and children violently abused. And I do everything I can to prevent that from happening again. And I'm really tonight, I'm here to listen, learn, and then lead. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
We're just gonna make you wait.
Lisa McClure from Senator Ed Markey's office. Thank you. Are you with us online?
Hi, everybody. So sorry that I am not on camera. I was having a little bit of camera trouble, but I just wanted to introduce myself, Lisa McClure. I'm a congressional aide in Senator Markey's office, along here with my colleague, Ben Thomas. And we just want to thank you for putting together this incredible event and allowing us to listen in and hear this important testimony.
Thank you very much for joining us. And Caleb White from Senator Warren, Senator Warren's office. Thank you. Thank you for waiting patiently. I saw you like a minute.
Hello. My name is Caleb White. I am the Regional Director for the South Coast Cape and Islands in the office of Senator Elizabeth Warren. I'll keep things brief tonight because I'm definitely looking forward to hearing testimonies tonight. But thank you very much for inviting us here. I have the distinct pleasure and honor to work for a fearless advocate for women, not only across the Commonwealth, but across the nation as well. So thank you for inviting us. Looking forward to continued partnerships and hearing everybody's comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Donna Walker, if you'd like to say a few words. Donna is the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the town of Provincetown. So welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for asking me to share a little bit. Yes, my name is Donna Walker, and I am actually the newly minted director of How New as of May 9th.
Wow, very new.
And this was actually a petition that a group of concerned residents here had brought to the town and town meeting, and it was passed overwhelmingly at town meeting. I was one of those residents and had planned to watch as they hired somebody else, but too many people came out of the woodwork saying, please apply. And I did. And eventually I was hired. So this is a very new adventure for the town. And it is a process of bringing together a community that believes in diversity and inclusion, but also bringing together a community that is looking toward understanding a shared understanding of that as a community. So this process will be ongoing for quite a while. And I think as you're all coming here, I'm excited that you're here doing your first in-person presentation and listening tour to understand what is happening across Massachusetts. And I want to say thank you for coming and joining us here. I think that the work that you do across various initiatives is very important, and it's very important, especially for our legislative members here and out there. To understand what are some of the concerns, what are some of the issues that people, women in general have about what's happening for the Commonwealth. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on your new role.
Thank you.
And I believe last we have Ben Thomas from Senator Markey's office.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm excited to be here with the Senator's lead on women's issues, Lisa McClure, and excited to learn and hear from everyone here tonight. And thank you to Leader Peak for hosting us tonight. I know we also have Mike Jackman from Congressman Keating's office here as well.
Thank you very much. Mike, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, no, just thank you for the invitation. I'm sorry, sorry I couldn't be with you in person, but I'm glad to have the opportunity to listen in and really looking forward to hearing all the testimony tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming. So a couple of final notes on logistics before we begin our testimonies. For those of you taking the ferry, the last ferry leaves at 7:30. What? 7:30 sharp. MC Yeah, perfect. The MCSW staff will be keeping an eye on the time, and we'll give you a last call for the ferry at 7, just to make sure people don't miss it. We are also live streaming this event. If your testimony is of a sensitive nature or you do not wish your name, face, or information to be publicly disclosed, please let any member of the MCSW staff know or contact us via the Zoom chat, and we'll be sure to make sure that we protect your privacy in advance of your testimony. We want to make sure that we have every effort so that everyone can feel safe when they're seen and heard. Also, if you're joining us virtually and require additional support, please just go ahead and message the staff through the chat and let them know what you need. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, what?
I'm sorry, the gallery with us online.
Oh, no, that's okay. Said justice is about making sure that being polite is not the same thing as being quiet. In fact, oftentimes the most righteous thing you can do is shake the table. So in closing, I'd like to thank you for coming here to shake the table with us, and welcome. And with that, I will turn it over to my sister, Commissioner Beck.
Thank you. It's so great to hear from so many elected officials and representatives from further offices. And I'm so excited to hear from all our testifiers as well. Just want to give a little bit more background about our hearings, which are just so powerful to me and such a privilege to create space for folks to share their testimony. Our public hearings provide a safe and open space for all women in communities and all people who care about women and girls, indeed, to be heard and share their lived experience about issues that impact their daily lives. Any subject surrounding issues that women face or obstacles that hinder the ability for all women to experience equity are welcome topics. This hearing is a public meeting and an opportunity to be yourself, to find others like you, and to share your story in a way that will positively influence the work that we do on behalf of all women in the Commonwealth. The MCSW works to create change in the lives of women, and your narrative guides our policy and advocacy platform. In the past, our hearings have brought attention to issues such as economic independence and self-sufficiency, domestic violence, and access to education and resources that support women and their families, and more. Testimony at our public hearings directly informs the Commission's legislative agenda. And I also want to add that since COVID, we've been putting together reports that highlight certain issues. So I'm not sure if folks in the audience are familiar, but we've done things such as childcare, women of color, women in the workforce. And this year we have 2 topics that we're focusing on especially. So I was happy to hear some of our electeds already bring up both topics, which are the overlap between our goals and statutory imperative to advance equity for women and girls and the LGBTQ community. So our first report this year will be on, issues that pertain to the overlap between LGBTQ community and women and girls, as well as our second report will be on domestic and intimate partner violence. So any testimony on any topic is welcome, but we will be specifically focusing on collecting testimony here at our next hearing in Pittsfield. I'd love to hear Pittsfield to Provincetown. That's what we're trying to do. We'll be collecting that testimony all year long, as well as whatever comes up here tonight. So tonight we will hear from you about what issues are important to you and the greater Cape and Islands community. Each speaker will be given roughly 3 to 5 minutes for public testimony, and we'll give gentle time reminders to make sure that everyone who has joined us this evening can be heard. So if you're here with me in person, I'll be holding up these signs that say 1 minute, 30 seconds, and please conclude. And if you're on Zoom, then I'll probably just gently give a vocal reminder because my sign may be too small for an impact visually when you are speaking. But we really look forward to hearing from everybody, and we hope we don't have to cut anybody off. Folks are always welcome to share written testimony through our website or on email. And we'll share that information in the chat online, and we can get that information to people in person as well. I do want to mention this is our first hybrid hearing, and we thank you so much for joining us from all corners of the Commonwealth And we're excited to hear from folks virtually, and we appreciate any patience that may be required should things arise. And with all of that laid out, I will turn it back to our wonderful chairwoman to introduce our first testifier.
Thank you very much. I would like to start with Brett Hubbard. In person?
I am here, sorry. I have submitted written testimony as I had childcare and no longer have childcare for this evening, as so many of us are known for. But thank you very much for everyone at both the commission and all of the elected officials here today to listen in and really take note for what is going on in our backyards. My written testimony basically brings up the issue of sidewalks, speed limits, and the fact that recently multiple women have been abducted while running at all hours of the day, all across the country. And I feel that as a runner, especially with a young child, it has actually made me stop running to not be able to, because of the lack of sidewalks, the danger in speed limits and fast driving cars. And also the fact that our neighborhoods are essentially cut off from one another because there are not sidewalks on the main thoroughfares linking the smaller neighborhoods, which are safer to run on the streets. I pass daily children who are standing not feet from very fast moving large and small vehicles waiting for bus stops. And as we all know, children are not always want to do what they're told and stay in one place. And I live in fear of a child stumbling and falling in or around a road where a car is going extremely fast because they are not on a sidewalk and not protected. While I recognize that sidewalks and speed limits will not and have not stopped predators from haunting us and from stalking women and trans women, all of us, it does give me great pause to go running with my child in a carrier, because I am constantly thinking of whether or not someone's following me, whether or not someone is watching, and if my child will be left sitting in a carrier and I am taken off, left defenseless, or that she will be standing on at a side at a bus stop one day and a car veers off the road because they are texting and driving or attending a hearing and driving and aren't paying attention. Thank you very much for allowing me this space to voice my concern. I am very thankful for all the work that all of you do, and I look forward to listening to the rest of the commentary and hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And providing the live inspiration of the baby in the background, that always always adds a little flavor. So it's wonderful. Barbara
Well,
Burgo. Too cute. Barbara Burgo. Hi, welcome.
Thank you very much. And I do thank you as well. Rep Peak, I heard a lot of what I know this is all about. I've known her for years. Rep David Vieira. I was asked at one time to be on the Mass Commission on the Status of Women, and I said no. Because the issues that I bring up, people don't really want to hear or they say it's too difficult, or you talk too much about these things, or leave it alone, or it takes time. So what I wrote with that precursor, the flyer to promote the hearing asks what issues are important: equal pay for equal work for women. As a former state president of American Association of University Women, I have been rallying for this issue nationally for 30 plus years. As a Black woman in Massachusetts for more than 50 years, stopping domestic violence and teen pregnancy preventions. As a daughter, sister, aunt, and mother, I have been an activist in these areas for more than 60 years. On Cape Cod, lack of affordable housing, equitable employment, sexism, racism, and ageism have been my major struggles. Yes, it astounds me that blatant ageism, which is prevalent here in a county which is among the oldest in the nation, I learned while taking a couple of courses, master's degree courses at UMass Boston in their gerontology, their famous gerontology program. I was coming here and thought, I am aging, but I'll go in a place where it must be friendly to the aging, because it is, at one time, it was said to be the fourth oldest county in the nation. Friendly it was not. Jobs I did not get. Opportunities because I spoke out. You said rattle the table. When I rattle the table, people run. I met Rep. Lewis one time, John Lewis. And you know he's famous for saying, cause trouble.
Yeah. Good trouble. Good trouble.
Good trouble.
Good trouble.
Necessary trouble. The good trouble to me, the necessary trouble to me is just trouble that other folks want to run away from all the time. Girls Inc. says strong, smart, and bold. As a state president of American Association of University Women, and as your former chair of the Barnstable County Human Rights Commission, when I'm strong, smart, I graduated at 53 magna cum laude, cultural anthropology, and bold, all they remember is the bold. Well, you are very bold. This isn't time. This isn't your turn. All of these issues and countless others are exacerbated by the fact that I request a person who moved here with me, that I represent, a person who moved here with 3 strikes against her. Some know I started a Cape Verdean museum in Harwich. I'm not here to speak about that or represent that. That's when my mother was born in 1928. And I was so badly abused, mistreated, racist against me, even by some of my own, that I moved out of Harwich. There are many, many other horrible treatments. The myriad ways in which I have been discriminated against and retaliated against for demanding fair treatment and equal justice under the law are too many to describe here. But I'll be happy to address them one by one to any of you who choose. Moving to this peninsula a decade ago has caused me countless sleepless nights, gross financial hardship, and several employment opportunities. I would like the Commission on the Status of Women and the leadership of Cape Cod to make greater strides toward ending the injustices toward women such as myself, which I have labeled a triple threat to the white privileged on Cape Cod. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Terry Alvis Hunter. How about Julie Hull?
Ask her to unmute. She just did.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Julie Hull. I am a Mashpee resident and I'm here to discuss concerns I have about the proposed plan to replace the in-person sexual assault nurse examiners or SANES here on Cape Cod with the Telesane program. I'm sad to hear that there has been an announcement none of us were aware of prior to now. I am a board certified forensic pathologist and am licensed to practice in both the states of Massachusetts and North Carolina. While I have previously worked for the medical examiner systems in both states, I do not represent either one of them here. Rather, I speak for myself as a community member and as a physician who has experience with performing sexual assault evidence collection examinations, documenting evidence, and testifying in a court of law in other types of criminal cases. As a physician, I am very worried about patients being treated by non-SANE nurses who lack the necessary training in trauma-based care. Given the nature of my work with deceased patients, that is not my area of expertise, and I'm pleased to hear that I believe it sounds like there are some of the SANE nurses here that do have the experience to speak on the skills that are involved in providing trauma-informed care to live patients. However, my expertise lies specifically in forensic pathology, so that is the area I will focus on. I am extremely concerned about the potential loss of or improper collection of evidence and the problems that could stem from that going forward. It is very concerning that patients may need to go to trial with healthcare providers as witnesses that have not been trained on what information they will need downstream to testify in a court of law. Evidence must be collected and stored under certain conditions and with proper documentation of chain of custody. If not collected and stored properly, biological evidence could be lost. If there is improper documentation of the collection and/or chain of custody, that evidence could be impermissible in court. Additionally, sorry, I lost my place. Additionally, developing the photography skills necessary to properly document injuries requires training. There is more to it than just taking a picture of an injury. Bodies are contoured. Photographs must be taken at a certain angle and with scale in order to accurately depict the injuries without any shadowing. The technical side of the skill is not something easily mastered with virtual guidance. For patients, there won't be a second chance to document those injuries in real time. It must be done correctly the first time. On a personal note, I have recently had the experience of being a patient that had to undergo a telehealth physical examination that is not well suited for telehealth. While it fortunately was not a SANE examination, I recently underwent a neurological examination performed by an ER nurse that was guided virtually by a neurologist. While they did the best they could in that circumstance, as a physician, I know it was a less than adequate examination. Some things simply cannot be replaced by telehealth. Finally, SANE examinations often take a very long time. ER nurses are already overworked and understaffed. Adding the responsibility of performing a potentially hours-long exam to their workload is fraught with potential problems. While I understand that telesane is necessary in certain places where there truly aren't any SANE nurses available, however, that is not the case here on Cape. There are SANE nurses here who have been serving our community and who, to my understanding, wish to continue doing so. Losing that valuable resource would be a huge step backwards. Equally disturbing is the potential for this trend to spread. If we allow this to happen here on Cape Cod, I worry it will progress to other areas and negatively impact many more people throughout the Commonwealth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Stephanie Ellis.
Hello, ladies, and thank you to our ladies and our legislatures and everybody in between. My name is Stephanie Ellis. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for 25 years, and I've been a sexual assault nurse examiner here for Cape Cod for 17 of those 25 years. I'm here to, typically as a nurse, you come very prepared. You notice I don't have anything written down. I'm here to talk from the heart. I don't want to read from a piece of paper. I want to tell you a story about what's happening to this program, this amazing program that I've dedicated 17 years of my life to. I promise you, I've not done it for the money. We won't talk about that because it's very, that's not the important piece. So I'm here with two of my colleagues. I have two more SANE nurses here with me tonight. In August, at our monthly meeting, we were notified by senior members of the SANE program that are employed by the Department of Public Health that Cape Cod will be transitioning to a telehealth program, Cape Cod Healthcare, Cape Cod Hospital and Falmouth Hospital. They'll be transitioning to a telehealth program effective November. So about 2 months' notice is all we were given. We're basically going to be without a position. They've encouraged us to cover call in the Southeast region. So that means they're asking us to travel to New Bedford, to travel to Charlton Hospital, which is in Fall River, I think. Now we take call in the overnight 24/7. We all work full-time jobs as registered nurses, and we cover on our days off. I can't cover a call at 2:00 in the morning in New Bedford and be in the office at 8 a.m. in Hyannis. Can't do it. I can't do it. So as soon as we got off that meeting, first call I made was to my very dear friend, Representative Steve Exaros. He is my representative in my district. I have known him for many years as a police officer, as a community member, and now as our representative. We had multiple conversations, and our legislatures here on Cape Cod, our senators and our representatives took hold of this and ran with it. Several days later, I got a call from that same representative that was on the meeting that told us that the same program would be transitioning. And I was told, stop talking to agencies. I'm here tonight to rattle the table.
Rattle it.
I have not talked to the press. I have been contacted by the press, but I have not spoken to the press. I want to do this above boards. I want the truth to be told. I want people to hear about the program. I want people to appreciate the program, and I want people to advocate for this program. But not just the program, it's the people that we serve are who we need to stay in the front of our minds in regards to this proposed change. My greatest concern, I have many concerns. I could sit here all night, but you would miss the boat. But some of my greatest concerns are that we have been told that the quality of care will not change. I am not here to speak about the quality or anything about the telehealth program. I am not a telehealth nurse. I will not speak about that program. I simply am not an expert in that field. I am an expert in showing up in the emergency room when my pager goes off and taking care of a sexual assault victim. That's what I do. That's what my colleagues here do. It is very concerning, the woman who spoke before me so eloquently, the chain of custody. The ER nurses are already overworked. It'd be such a burden on our ER nurses who are already doing an unbelievable job trying to keep their heads above water in the edges of a pandemic. To ask an ER nurse to do a sexual assault examination takes anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. Once you're with a sexual assault victim, you are one-on-one. Once that kit is opened, you do not leave that kit. It stays in your sight at all times to protect the chain of custody. That ER nurse, her previous patients are now divided by whoever is left on staff in the emergency room. I wouldn't want to be a patient coming in with a broken arm or something and having to have a nurse take care of me that is overburdened with a large caseload. Although I think our ER nurses are amazing and they would do a great job, I think you get my point. In addition, they're saying that the care won't change. Well, something unique about the program at Cape Cod and Falmouth is that our SANE nurses are cross-trained for pediatrics. We are the only region in the state of Massachusetts that is cross-trained. We can respond to cases from birth to however old you want them to be. We have Children's Cove in Barnstable County who does an amazing job. They recently hired a nurse practitioner who will cover some pediatric cases, but she doesn't work 24/7. We just had one of our SANE nurses do a pediatric case yesterday at 7 o'clock at night. With the proposed system with the new telehealth, that patient would not have a SANE nurse. Telehealth, the NTC, the National Telehealth, I don't know what the C stands for, they are not cross-trained. They do not cover pediatric cases. That pediatric patient would be cared for to the best of the ability of an untrained, as far as a forensic nurse, ER nurse, and ER physician. I'll summarize. When we go in and do a case, we walk in and we do everything. We do the pelvic exams, we do the forensic evidence collection, we do recommendations for STD medications, etc. In the new model, the ER nurse is not trained as a forensic nurse. They do not have specialized training in doing a pelvic exam. So that means now the ER physician would have to come in and do a pelvic exam. So that's a third person coming in and taking care of a trauma victim. It's not ideal. It's not ideal. So I just want to say thank you again for this opportunity to tell you a little bit about my program that I'm so passionate about. I could sit here for a couple of hours and talk to you and answer questions and so forth, but I want to be respectful to everybody that has anything to say. I greatly appreciate your time. I greatly appreciate the work that you're doing. And I hope that you can be our next biggest advocate for Cape Cod for the sexual assault nurse examiner program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Denise Galvin. We don't have Denise Galvin.
We do, but she's
Oh.
thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
So not online. I wasn't really prepared at all for this,
You,
so.
that's the best way.
Uh,
You nodded
yeah.
yourself. I didn't know your name. You guys.
My name's Denise Galvin. I'm a registered nurse with the Commonwealth for the last 23 years. I've been a SANE nurse with Stephanie for the last 16, 17 years.
What is a SANE nurse for the record?
I'm sorry?
What is a SANE nurse? for the
Oh,
record?
sexual assault nurse examiner. So I was trained through the Commonwealth. It's a great program, great training. Every year we have training. I was also an ER nurse and then a SANE nurse. I don't work in the ER anymore, but I can't imagine being a victim of any kind of violence, sexual assault violence, and then having to go in and have an exam done. I've done some high profile cases, some non-profile cases or whatever. The trauma that anybody is put through, and then to have to try to talk to somebody on a screen along with somebody else,
doesn't want to do the kit. They don't want to get involved. I'm sure y'all know, like, people don't like to get involved. They don't want, like, so they don't want to get involved with the case. They don't want to do it. And they also have other things to do. So it doesn't make them bad people. It just makes me who I am. I love being a SANE nurse. And I hope that we can get the funding to maybe train people on the Cape. I know there's nurses that want to do it. Currently, my understanding is that the Commonwealth has a program, but it's in Worcester, which is a great program. But for nurses on the Cape, like Stephanie said, we all work full-time jobs, most everybody. I don't know anyone that doesn't. And then the SANE is just a side thing. And so to go to Worcester to get trained and get precepted and then try to learn here, it's not great. So if we could somehow get funding to get a program done down here to get people trained. I know we don't have a lot of staff right now. People have moved on. But telesane and then just not having like a person that wants to be there to do the kit and to work. And also the other thing, we've worked with the same district attorney's offices or police officers and the rape crisis. And so we all have like this relationship. We know a lot of the people, we know how it works. We know the forensics part and how to do all that evidence collection, and to get nurses that can't do it, don't want to do it, talking to a screen. I don't know if anyone's done a televisit, but they're great for some things, but I just can't see it. I hate to see it. I know it's better than nothing, but I think that we can do better. I think women, and they deserve better. And I don't know what else to say. But thank you. Thanks.
Next, we have Maria James. Oh, is that your name? Oh, that worked out.
But I
Welcome.
said no to testifying, but I have to.
Thank you for changing your mind.
So my name is Marie James. I've been a sexual assault nurse examiner for the past 17 years. Actually, my coworkers, we started together 17 years ago. I think, well, I live in Eastham, so you can imagine going to Worcester for the training is not very convenient. When we started 17 years ago, we had a course right here on the Cape in Hyannis. We haven't had a course like that on the Cape since. When we started way back when, there were about 15 of us that passed SANE, and we had worked together for a good 10, 12, well, actually more than that, 14 years perhaps. And so we'll have these intermittent trainings, and the nurses have to go to Worcester to do these classes. And there's not many that come from the Cape, I don't think, that want to participate in a program that's so far away. We were just talking a moment ago that DPH considers sexual assault nurse examiners on the Cape to consist adequately with 24 to 30,
18 to 23.
18 to 24 nurses. We've never had even 18 nurses. Right now we have 8. So we could use more training on the Cape. We've had a recent drop in the SANEs. I don't know if it's because of COVID, but regardless, it's still a good group. We've never missed a case on the Cape, even with this shortage of only having 8 nurses on the program. So that must say something. I think we treated 39 cases last year. Not one was missed. I'm very proud to work with these group of people. I feel it's such a necessity in our community. And to transition backwards, I mean, we do have the telehealth SANE program that is usually strictly related to rural areas, that just are no services for SANEs to train. no classes. But to take a step backward, here we are doing in-person examinations. And we do, like Stephanie had said, we do the whole thing from start to finish. We do the pelvic exams. And to have a physician step in the middle of doing a case to collect the evidence, and even sometimes they need coaxing as to what exactly to collect. Sometimes they need coaxing, but we're collecting crucial evidence that's going to help determine the outcome of the case. I don't know what else I can say.
Thank you.
But I really like what I do. I think we do provide a great service, and to take a step back and for something that's been so personal all these years, to suddenly go with a nurse on a laptop. I couldn't imagine being in that position. I just couldn't. So I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
I think they're asking for the other interpreter to be spotlighted. Vicky, do we have people
Madam-
signing up by the-
Madam Chair, do you mind? Can I ask the nurses that are in the room a question, if you don't mind? As you know,
Absolutely.
we're working. So, the MCSW is working on conversations around the same issue and with DPH, and we have a meeting coming up and our letters written. But here's my question, because some of the information we have, you ladies have also shared it, but a curiosity, we're looking at the training piece. So when they did the training here 17 whatever years ago, where was that held at? So they brought it down, did it at the DoubleTree, okay. Right, so they staged it, moved it in, okay. Because we want to work hand in hand with the Cape delegation and JDI and all the other entities that we've reached out to work on this issue. So we want to make sure that we are spot on what we're asking for. We're supporting the Cape delegation and trying to extend out until the spring and move it from November 14th to the spring to give time for the Cape to locate some new nurses that are interested in being trained. We know it's about 10 more nurses that you need down here to meet the criteria that DPH is asking for. But at the same time, if the training's in Worcester, we know that there will be a conflict. There would be issues. And so in our statement, we are hoping we can say maybe virtual and then the practicals in person. So that's something that we're curious about with the training. When you did your practicals, how much time were the practicals? Do you remember? Yes, ma'am, if you want.
Please help me. I'm just a tad rusty. Our training was every Friday. I'm gonna say it was for 8 weeks. And it was a full day. So it started at 8, ended at 4. So that was every Friday for 8 weeks. And then we had to do a clinical component. And at that time, I was blessed to have my own GYN who actually followed me and made sure I collect the evidence, or did the vaginal exam actually. And I passed all 10, and then I could move forward. I think the training has changed in that now they have live bodies that they can practice on at this training.
Hello. Okay.
So I had someone online.
All right. Okay, so it was about 8 weeks, and then the clinicals.
And the
practicals. Okay,
preceptorship,
okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. Was there
All right,
anything
that
else?
helps us because we do have meetings coming up and we want to be able to vocalize correctly and factually what we're asking for. We're talking about, yes, Rep Peak, sorry.
Mary, I would just respectfully add to what our wonderful SANE nurses have said today. Something that has happened since they were trained 16 years ago is Cape Cod Community College has a nursing program now, where Cape Cod Healthcare partners with them Nurses are trained there the first 2 years of their training. There are facilities there. There are classrooms there. The practicum work is done at Cape Cod Hospital and Falmouth hospitals. So I believe that with a little creativity and a little thoughtfulness to remote areas in the Commonwealth, we can get around these training issues with little or no expense. Just takes a little open mind and creative thinking. So that is why we asked DPH to kind of put this radical change on hold for at least 6 months, which, by the way, if you look at the calendar, we will have a new administration one way or the other, and we will have a new DPH commissioner. And that's just being blunt here. Part of what really frosts me about this is that this administration is doing this in the last 2 months, that they are making a sweeping policy change like this that affects Stevens and my and the entire Cape delegation's constituents. It's got a little hot under the collar about it, and I appreciate your support because the more voices we can bring to this. And I would just say, probably shouldn't say this, it's a bit of a gratuitous comment, but if men were affected by this, and to the degree that women are affected by this change, we would not be seeing this happen. We would not be asked to look at a computer screen at a time of physical and mental.
God, I want to.
that is going on. And that
Yes.
is a big part of it as well.
Yes,
Why
thank
we should
you.
put stuff to it.
Thank you. All right, so, so the training, the 6 months extension, and, so the next question is, I saw you, Stephanie. So the next question that would be beneficial for us to know is, because one of the things that we saw in some of the notes were, they said that there were no nurses that wanted to be trained. Is it just the fact that it's the distance, or, go ahead, Steph.
Excuse me, sorry, please come up to the mics. We have
And they
people
can't hear you.
online who can't hear you and we want everyone to hear you.
So thank you for asking that question, because that's the point of clarification I wanted to make for you, is that there is a current training happening right now. We had 2 nurses queued up to join the Cape region. They were told by leadership of DPH that they are going to be eliminating the same nurses on the Cape, and they want them to join the Southeast region instead. So we had nurses ready to go. One did go through with the training with the caveat that she would prefer to be on the Cape. And the other one backed out at the last minute because she said, I simply can't take what I was told, I've not spoken with this nurse directly, was that she simply couldn't do the drive. In addition, the training that is happening right now, it is a virtual training. So people are logging in. So we're in a virtual world like we are now, but there is a mandatory 3 days. They have live models where they do a pelvic, they train you at the pelvic exams. That's done in Worcester.
Here's Megan with you as well.
Oh, she's the same nurse with us as well. Yep, that's lovely. So when I did my training, we didn't do a 3-day training of live models. We actually paired with a GYN or a nurse practitioner or something along those lines. And we did live real patients' pelvic exams. There's no reason why. I think I'm a pretty decent, sane nurse. I've done a good job all these years. So it's effective. There's ways around it. That's my point. So I want to make sure that it's very clear that the training right now is virtual. So the access to that piece of it is fairly excellent, right?
Okay.
So, and I don't know if that's going to be consistent, if the training will change, because Megan, who was up on the screen, she had to go in person. And there's a cost. Each one of these nurses that does the training, there is a cost to these nurses that not always their current employer is going to reimburse them for, because it doesn't have to do with their direct job. So, and I don't know what the cost is. It was so long ago.
Okay.
I hope that's
Thank you
helpful.
so much for that. Yes, it does. It does help. That changes a section of our letter already, just from that. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for that. That helps us when we're going into our meeting. Right.
The cost $400.
400?
2 years ago,
2 years ago.
Commissioner.
So Megan online, Megan, when you went through this training in 2020, that was prior to the pandemic hitting, where telesane was the process during the pandemic. And even then, it was noted by DPH as being temporary fix only, right? And not what they saw as a long-term fix. So when you ladies had that break, well, not really the break, but the telesane piece in 2020, Megan, can you let me know when you did that training? Because that kind of
Yep, I completed the the SANE training in November of 2020.
She did it virtually.
So I did it virtually, and we had one day where we had to go to Worcester and you know, do our practical on live models. But I only had to drive there one day. Everything else was online. And when I've been told that the as Steph said, the training is going to continue to be online, and then everyone will just have to do their practical in person.
Okay, okay, thank you. All right.
You're welcome.
Because some of the research we did showed that there was a time in 2020 where all of the sexual assault was telesane and not in person. Nope, it was in person still in 2020. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call Melanie, who I believe is here.
Hello.
Hello?
My name's Mel. I'm one of your friendly Cape Cod Hospital ER nurses. We're stretched thin. You know, in one room, we have a cardiac arrest patient. In another room, we have a patient who is violently undergoing a psychotic break. And what we cannot handle without supportive staff is another patient who is a victim of sexual assault, who requires that one-to-one evidence collection. You are not leaving that patient for 4 hours, because that's what that patient deserves. So these SANE nurses, you guys are so important. Like, we need you, and we can't do it without them. And also, it's not fair to be, I hope no one in this room is ever a victim of sexual assault, but God forbid one of you is, and you're laying there in a stretcher with your legs up, and your nurse is looking at a computer screen while swabbing your cervix. I know it's crude, I'm sorry, but that's kind of what we have to say about it. And, you know, to not have these SANE nurses is terrifying for every nurse and doctor that works in Cape Cod Hospital emergency room department. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Molly.
Madam Chair, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Hall had a question.
My question is in general to everyone who just spoke about the SANE program. How did this get on the radar to be eliminated? I don't understand how it
So-
just came up like that.
It came on our radar because with the members of the MNA, the Mass Nurses Association, someone posted it on our board saying that it was, you know, up for debate about whether or not they do away with our SANE nurses, and it scared us all. So
Do we have any more history on that? Now that we do?
Yeah, we've been working legislative committee's been working on it. We got notified about same time the ladies did about 3-4 weeks ago. And we've
Yeah.
been doing, and then the Cape delegation had their meeting 3 weeks ago with DPH. So we've been waiting, and our meeting is tomorrow.
So it came from the DPH
DPH made the announcement
to eliminate.
to eliminate.
And we know, though, my question is, do we know where this came from? Why did the DPH automatically come out with an announcement to eliminate this? Like, what generated it?
I have
Do we
no
know?
idea.
Is it all money? I mean, how much would they be saving with this?
Probably. Do you guys know? Yeah? Yeah, come on.
Did a great job.
So I can't speak to the money. I don't know.
Okay.
But I do know, as well as everybody in this room knows, that the budget runs July 1 to June 30.
Yeah.
Our budget is already passed.
7.9 million.
Why are we making this change in November? Right at the time of an election, when there's so much change and turnover? That's just a question. I don't know the answer. DPH is saying that they need 18 to 24 nurses in order to run a region. We have been running this region for 17 years with
Eight.
less than a dozen nurses. We are the region in the state of Massachusetts with the highest retention rate and the lowest missed cases. We are the only region in the state of Massachusetts that is cross-trained for pediatrics. We know our numbers are lower. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't have a college campus with dorms on Cape Cod. There's a big piece of that, unfortunately, but there is. So we thought we have got to make sure that we are as valuable as we can, so we cross-train for pediatrics. So the numbers of cases is part of the rationale that we were given, that we don't do as many cases as, say, the Boston region.
I see.
But the Boston region missed, 3 or 4 cases last week.
So it's not related to population?
Yeah, and
It's just arbitrary? Like it's just a
Perhaps.
number of cases and it's not related to population
Perhaps.
or sexual assault cases or anything? I
In
think
my
we-
opinion, whether that counts or not, one victim is enough for a program.
Mhm.
One victim is enough for a program. I'm happy to answer questions all night long.
Thank you.
So I think next we have online Sandy.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
I never thought this meeting would be about something. I call myself a survivor of rape. I don't call myself a victim. I find a victim to be a negative term and a survivor to be more of, I have overcome that. When I was 16 years old, I was raped. So when someone mentioned, I hope there's nobody in the room, I pulled out my tissue and I had some tears. So hopefully you guys will hear my voice. I did send my testimony over to the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women back, and I mailed a letter and I also emailed on September 12th. And I pray that today, all of you, thank you for being here to hear my voice. My name is Sandra and I'm disabled female. I'm a resident of East Wareham, Massachusetts. I've recently had an issue with a male cab driver that drives for a company that's hired by my medical insurance company to take me to my appointments. This male cab driver said some unprofessional and uncomfortable flirtatious things to me on a medical ride to my dentist appointment, as well as pressuring me into having a relationship with him. Also, on a past medical ride, he wanted to exchange phone numbers and hang out with me. I have brought this to many people's attention. Something happened to me again in 2017. There's a bus that I take that comes to my house. And there was 2 gentlemen that made some flirtatious sexual comments to me as well that were very uncomfortable, and I reported it back then. I'm on disability and I rely and depend on these transportation companies and my insurance companies to keep me safe and protect me while they take me to my much needed appointments. My disability has been greatly increased and has worsened since this year's incident and causing me a backflash to unresolved incidents back in 2017 and also to that rape when I was 16. I found no resolution from the vehicle company back in 2017 and from the same cab company it was the same cab company actually, that was 2017 and this year, it blew my mind. And I never got it resolved. And let's see, there's no justice from my medical insurance company in my complaint. So I went to my medical insurance company this year. I said, listen, this has happened. And so I'm trying to voice out and I wrote my 2 senators in my town. I wrote the 2 senators in my state. I haven't heard back and it's been well over a month. This letter, I wrote a letter, so I'm reading it from the letter, is to inform you what's happening in some cabs and other things like buses and transportation for the disabled. I know that I'm not the only woman faced with this type of unprofessional behavior from some male cab drivers or drivers in general. I do not want to feel pressured into giving my phone number out. I do not want to hang out with them. I don't want to feel scared or afraid as a passenger in any vehicle that takes me as a passenger as a client. Being alone in these cabs and on these buses with some of these male drivers get intimidating. And when they act unprofessional, I wish more women would speak up, but I understand that some women might feel intimidated, scared, or threatened, and that stops them from using their voice. I also understand that when women do speak up, nothing ever gets done about it. They get ignored, and the incident gets swept under the rug like it never existed. A lot of companies feel that they don't answer complaints, and as long as they ignore them, they'll just go away. Well, problems never just go away. Problems need a positive solution, or they will come back in the future, as history always finds a way of repeating itself. I also understand that people just end up not doing anything about what happens to them, and they suffer in silence because they're ignored, making them feel much worse than their disability due to injustice. In 2017 and this year, I used my voice, and still not being heard. I made a complaint, and that decision that was made from the Appeals and Grievances Investigation Department of my medical insurance company was unjustified. So I find that every time I tell the truth and I use my voice, I can't help but feel that it's a prejudice against me because I'm a woman and I'm on disability. Drivers in the companies they work for, as well as the insurance company, should have enough respect, professionalism, and dignity to not tolerate any unprofessional behavior like that I've encountered. If the driver knows that they're being watched and listened to by camera installed in these vehicles they're driving, then the driver will have no choice but to act professional and cease all sexual harassment behaviors, or else face disciplinary action with their company. I read your mission statement on your website, and I feel that you can help me be that voice for women and girls and for anybody that has been a victim or is of this type of abuse that's been happening in these vehicles for transportation. I'm asking the assistance of Massachusetts Commission of Status of Women to please hear my voice and be that permanent, effective voice for all women across Massachusetts, because instances like these are continuing to become a huge issue amongst women in our rights. Please help me stand for fundamental freedoms, basic human rights, and the full enjoyment of life for all women throughout our lives. No woman should be disrespected and feel uncomfortable while riding as a passenger and client in any vehicle. All people that take public or private company transportation should feel safe, secure, protected, and comfortable in any vehicle at any time. This world needs to start to create safe spaces in all places for everyone, where a place or environment in which a person or category or people can feel confident and they will not need to be exposed to discrimination, disability, prejudice, racism, criticism, harassment, or any other emotional, mental, or physical harm. Please help me pass a bill into a much-needed state mandated law to have all companies that transport passengers as clients to install cameras with audio in all their vehicles. This state mandated law will improve transportation safety and protection and give them much-needed rights and equality to protect all and everyone, no matter if they're passengers, drivers, vehicle companies, or insurance companies, from any sexual harassment and sexual misconduct complaints. The camera with audio installed in all vehicles that have transportation passengers as clients will give the companies a validated proof of truth that they need for evidence to conduct a thorough investigation and bring justice for all. I thank you all tonight for taking the time to listen to me and help me please pass a bill into a much-needed state mandated law. And if you have any questions, you can freely ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Terry.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can. Hello.
Hi, my name is Terry Alves Hunter. I am a regional commissioner on the Cape. And the reason I wanted to speak is about racism and DEI. I am very frustrated at the lack of support and timeliness of this issue being addressed. When I hear from different school districts that, oh, it takes time, or we're going to vote on that, or we haven't hired the new DEI person, my response to them is, I see you met deadlines when it came to the pandemic and COVID. The entire world was up and about in less than 60 days being remote. Yet when it comes to the Blackdemic, you do nothing. You have the access to the cure, yet you don't do anything. And it reminds me of the Bible in that most of Cape Cod sits on the Old Testament because they don't have the courage to be comfortable. They don't have the courage to be comfortable with being uncomfortable for change. When it doesn't specifically address them, then it's not an issue. And one of the major issues in the past 2 years is the lack of addressing racial trauma. Black children basically saw a modern day lynching. And all the school can come back with is SEL, which is social emotional learning. Social emotional learning was not created ever to address racism. And when I say DEI, I don't only refer to race, because when I hear parents say that if somebody says something to a child about race or their sexual identity or gender identity or sexual orientation, that's bullying. It's not bullying, that's discrimination. And it's getting more and more difficult to get any action. There are no clear and concise and specific agenda items that have a date, unlike anybody else's job. When you take office, then you are committing to work for the public, not for your own interests. And the fact that most committees on Cape Cod that work for the towns do not specifically represent the community that they represent is another issue. Until we have the courage to step up and say, hey, no, nobody here has slaves right now. But you know what? We all benefited from it. And when we acknowledge that, when I see notifications all over the town about the adherence to the Wampanoag tribe and how they stole their land, yes, that is a sin. But I ask, the sin is also, not only did you take land from the people, you took people from their land. And our education system does not even address the issues where, did you know that the very first slave ship here was built in Massachusetts, just 16 years after the Mayflower landed? But yet they don't teach our children that in school. When they asked my son to be part of the American Revolution play in 4th grade, they asked him to pick a hero, a white hero. I had to call the school and say, should I send my son to school as a slave? He ended up going as Crispus Attucks, but that's only because I brought that up to the school. And just last year, and I'm at my son's soccer practice right now, but last year at a soccer game, I had a parent refer to my son as the black child on the field. Not number 69, but the black child. But things have gotten better this year because somebody said, oh, which one is your son? And I was the only black mother there, but I found that to be, we're making a little bit of progress. But I hope that people will open their eyes and know that we have to do this together. Everybody's human. If you look at a brown egg and white egg, they're different. You open them up, they're the same. And I just wish that everybody on Cape Cod would step up to the plate and notice that we are human. It's not about color. It's not about race. Get up on your culture, know what a microaggression is, and let's make the world different for our kids, our girls, than what we've had to go through. I am 6 generations in on Cape Cod, and I'm still fighting the same racism as my great-grandparents did. Thank you very much for your time.
Chair, I've got one more sane nurse if you have time,
We had someone named Amy. Amy Peterson, are you here?
who has requested to not be on video.
Not be on video. Okay,
Hi, can you hear me?
we can.
Yes.
Okay, hi commissioners and elected officials. Thank you for your time. And so my name's Amy. I'm just newly elected to be on the Cape and Islands Women's Commission Board. And I would just really like to say I resonate with what everybody is saying here. I am also a survivor of violence and assault. I am a woman, a Mashpee Wampanoag and woman of color. I live on our newly Mashpee Wampanoag tribal reservation. Indigenous women are 2.5 times more likely to be raped than any other race. And this tool has been from the beginning of the colonization of this country. And I'm sorry.
It was a mic issue. Go ahead.
Don't worry.
Okay, sorry. And so I really wanted to be just to hear to really speak about, you know, the fact that just being here on Cape Cod and the islands, we don't even have a place for us to go. We had one in Hyannis, the oh gosh, now my brain, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of it right now, where you get birth control and all the different help and resources for young women. We don't even have that facilities anymore. Also, you know, I just feel that with all this, everybody deserves the right to be treated with compassion and respect. Planned Parenthood, thank you, sorry. That's it. We don't even have access to our Planned Parenthood. So there's so many lack of vital resources here that our women and our young women need, that in other spaces and places they have more resources. Also, I think that, you know, for a lot of women, women of color, Indigenous women, that they don't feel safe in a lot of these places to speak, you know, in front of the commissions or different things. And it just we need to make sure that we have a safe in a place for everybody to be able to speak. Sorry, yes, there is no Planned Parenthood. That's what I meant to say. Also, I'm also, I just feel that the racism, the poverty that is going on and that has happened in this country and on the Cape and Islands has been such a systemic system, and it's been a system of repression. And also that even like within Terry's talking about the school systems, I raised 3 sons here and who had disabilities. And as a single mother, I was made to always feel like an outsider, and just had such a struggle within that system, that we also need to realize that I feel that a lot of what's going on today with the opioid epidemic, we have a disproportionate rate of people overdosing and dying, people that are not able to recover because of the drugs that are going on, that this all stems, a lot of it, from trauma. These are trauma from child abuse, from domestic violence, from different things like that. So that's kind of really what I wanted to say. Really, that I felt I needed to bring this to the table of the poverty and the racism, and the fact that you know, women of color also, I feel Native women, we also have a disproportionate rate of, say, a medical care. We don't get the same kind of medical care or treatments. We don't get the diagnoses when we need to get our diagnoses. And that's really it. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe next we have Megan Kelly.
Hi, guys. I'm Megan Kelly. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I actually did not submit anything in writing, and I wasn't really planning on speaking tonight, but my coworkers have inspired me to do so, and some of the other speakers tonight. When I heard about the SANE program and how it was going to go to, telemedicine, I was absolutely devastated. Ever since I can remember, I've wanted to be a SANE nurse. When I was 18 years old, I was sexually assaulted by a close family friend. And, that was a very traumatic experience for me and has taken me years of, working on myself and pushing myself to be the best that I can be. And I put myself through nursing school. I'm a pediatric nurse full-time, and I work at a pediatric practice on Cape, and I also am a SANE nurse for Cape Cod. When I went through my sexual assault and I was seen at Falmouth Hospital and had a rape kit done, and Born Police was absolutely amazing. And the hospital was amazing, and I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I want to help people like me because I know what it feels to be like in that position. So it really kills me to see this program get taken away from our residents, because I think that it's so important. I couldn't imagine sitting there in a hospital bed and, having my nurse talking to someone on the computer. The SANE nurse that I had was amazing. She was so efficient and quick, and I was able to get through the exam pretty quickly. I know that now I know the extent of the paperwork and how long it takes to actually complete the kit. The whole entire kit is pretty lengthy, but she made sure to make sure, she was there for me and made sure that I was okay emotionally. And that's what I do for my patients. I want to make sure that I'm there for them, not only to do their physical exam and to collect evidence, but to be there for them emotionally and, connect with my patients and let them know that they're not alone and that there are resources out there, and that we're there to help them. Recently, I've had 2 pediatric cases within the last month. And as Stephanie said earlier, there won't be any pediatric SANE nurses, or the telehealth doesn't do SANE available after hours. So my concern is what's going to happen to these children when they come into the ER and there's no one there to take care of them. And then you miss that window of opportunity to get the evidence. And I mean, Stephanie pretty much said it all, and we could sit here and talk all night about it and how passionate we are about it. Like I said, I'm a pediatric nurse and I love my job. I love the kids, and I really have a passion for working with children, but my passion is being a SANE nurse. So it really kills me to see that, they're trying to take this away. And I'm so grateful for all of you for standing by us and for fighting for us. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any last testimonies that I don't have on the list?
I do have one more online if you have time.
I think we have time for one more, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So thank you very much.
Chair, her name is Danielle
Piscadlo.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for making time for me as one last testimony tonight. So I'm Danielle Piscadlo, and I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called Women's Money Matters that focuses on the financial security of women who are living on low incomes. many in shelters and transitional housing, most on some form of public assistance. And I'm here tonight to elevate the experiences and challenges that many of those women share with us that prevent their financial security and economic advancement as the Mass Commission on the Status of Women looks to set its priorities. And so I thank you for hosting this opportunity as we work together to create a better Commonwealth for women and girls. So as we head into Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I'd like to draw attention to the fact that many of the women that we serve in our programs do find themselves living in shelter with their children because they are survivors of domestic and sexual violence, traumas that stay with them for the rest of their life. So I just want to join and amplify the voices of the others on this call who have so bravely and eloquently encouraged the Commonwealth to put more resources towards addressing domestic and sexual violence as an issue that we need to be thinking about and working towards collectively. We also run workshops that focus on the expenses of moving out of shelter and trying to get stable and affordable housing. And that always highlights so drastically the complete lack of affordable and stable housing, especially around the greater Boston area. So really want to just draw attention to the issue that you cannot create safe homes for your family when there's these really large market forces that are working against you and challenging to overcome. We also run workshops for younger women who are mainly teen moms in our program around the cost of childcare. And that's another systemic barrier that we continue to see, as they work to increase their education or career or technical training, they continue to face this care crisis that I've heard others highlight, that disproportionately impacts women, many single moms that just cannot find affordable, reliable, quality childcare options. So another societal issue that we really need to be working towards collectively on behalf of women and in our Commonwealth. I've talked before and testified during the session on women in the workplace around the impacts of pay inequities, especially for women of color, then how that prevents women from creating financial safety nets and being able to pay down debts like student loans at the same rate as men, and being able to save for retirement in the same way that that men can. So want to continue to raise awareness about that ongoing barrier for women. And the other issue that I want to raise attention to, though, is around inflation and the costs of rising prices and how that is preventing women in all of our communities from being able to afford the basic necessities of groceries and diapers for their families, and especially at the current levels of public assistance. So I applaud the Commonwealth for increasing SNAP benefits by 12% recently, and encourage our legislators to really look at all forms of public assistance and ensure that they are matching and in line with the rising prices that are really hurting so many women across the Commonwealth. So that's it for me tonight. And I just want to say thank you again for providing this forum for so many inspirational women to share their experiences and their stories.
Thank you very much. Finally, we have Gwen, who I believe is here.
Hi, I'm Gwen Guzzo. I'm the Executive Director of Helping Our Women, or otherwise known as HOW. We're a nonprofit resource center for women living with chronic or serious health conditions in the Outer Cape towns, which have been recognized as rural by federal and state public health agencies. And for 29 years, we've accompanied women on their healthcare journeys. We currently serve over 275 women and an additional 40 to 50 community members in any given month. You know, as we approach our 30th anniversary, our records show we've served over 1,000 women since our founding in 1993 and distributed nearly $1 million in financial assistance or paid transportation to improve their access to healthcare and well-being. So I'm here to offer testimony as the director of an agency that serves women, as well as testimony from my own personal experience as a woman who grew up here after our family moved from Springfield to the Cape in the 70s. And I was able to move back in 2004 to raise my son here. So thank you for hosting this meeting in Provincetown because it's an auspicious day for women on the Cape and Islands in particular. I started my morning at the Cape Cod Foundation's launch of their Women and Girls Fund, and the information and testimony of the stories that were presented in that should really be, it's something that'll be on their website in a week, should be submitted here. Many women of color and students spoke along the lines of what you've already heard. It also presented economic data that confirms my view and experience that women here on the Cape are all too likely to age into poverty. And so I really want to just suggest that Cape Cod Foundation's Women and Girl Fund presentation, you get submitted somehow into testimony. More importantly, I want to thank you for meeting here in Provincetown because improving access to healthcare and well-being is central to our mission and to women living on the Outer Cape and all rural communities in Massachusetts. They face many barriers and challenges because of their geographic isolation. If you live in Provincetown or Truro, you actually live further from a hospital than any other Massachusetts resident. I did the measurements myself this past year. And transportation, therefore, as we've heard already in testimony tonight, is a critical need for many women to get to all kinds of services, especially from these rural towns. And so the pandemic shifted. As it shifted, we've seen an increase in the number of rides requested, including an increase in number of rides requested to domestic violence agencies or shelters, which may have office hours all the way out here once or twice a month, but otherwise you need to get someplace else that involves transportation. So we've seen that increase in the number of rides and currently provide approximately 100 rides per month on most given months, primarily the Hyannis Barnstable area. And then we support getting to Boston on the hospital bus. The Regional Transit Authority is an important partner with their hospital bus program to Boston, and yet their Dial-A-Ride transportation program, DART, is advertised as serving all 15 towns of the Cape, and yet it does not serve the Outer Cape. In public interviews, it's referred to as there are a few pockets. Well, those pockets are the four towns of the Outer Cape. Measures to address this gap have not met the need. We would like to see a hospital bus program from the Outer Cape to the Hyannis Medical Center area, not the current Band-Aid approach that requires 4 to 6 hours of a bus ride round trip. And that's also not just for hospital access, but again, that's where a lot of other key services have their major offices for human service agencies, including domestic violence services. Certainly they have satellite locations, but that's where their primary offices are. What I want to be sure to speak to you about is the racism and discrimination women of color experience here on the Outer Cape and the Lower Cape in particular. At Helping Our Women, we have a pledge to the women of color living on the Outer Cape. We pledge to listen to you, to trust you, and to invest in you. Well, I think it's time for our legislators to make this pledge to all women living in the rural towns of the Cape and across the Commonwealth, and especially the women of color in these rural communities on the Outer Cape in particular. I've heard directly from a number of women of color who work or have worked at large employers on the Cape or Outer Cape that racism from other staff, administration, as well as customers and clients is ever present. We've advocated on behalf of a woman of color seeking healthcare referrals, and more than one, but in one case in particular, seeking healthcare referrals where there's nothing extraordinary about this, whether it's for physical therapy or to see some other kind of specialist that any of your friends or you might be looking for. And it can take weeks to get that referral. We've called and tried to help advocate for that. And it seems the only explanation I have for the situation is just that it is, if not over implicit, racism and bias when working with people who speak English with a very heavy accent, and you need more time to talk to somebody who has a very heavy accent. So I think that I'd also want to speak briefly to my personal experience, given the testimony tonight. I was going to even skip this part, but the default mode of what's being presented, I recently went to an urgent care clinic, saw a doctor, and in that experience, I went for what I believed was a yeast infection. A week later, I returned, the rash had spread, and the language I was given was, I thought steroids were a no-no down there, but I realized I can prescribe steroid cream. Well, as a woman, I was appalled and discouraged to have my genital anatomy be referred to as down there by a medical professional. This may seem like a small incident to some, and yet the use of down there rather than correct anatomical term of vulva or genitals is an example of the kind of language that suggests or directly asserts a sense of shame about a person's body parts. Others would call this a microaggression. Unfortunately, many of us just shake our heads and keep going, being sure to tell other people, don't get women's health at that local urgent care location. But that's nothing compared to this one last story, very brief, that I have. When I arrived here in this role, I was introduced to a local restaurant owner as the new director of Helping Our Women in the spring of 2019. And his response was to say, oh, helping our women? I know how to help women. Just push them down the stairs. Misogyny is alive and well in the rural towns of the Outer Cape. Fortunately, there are many men who are supporters, volunteers, donors, and even community members who receive services from our organization. And yet that one incident remains as a reminder to me of the challenges women, no matter your position, no matter your race, experience here on the Outer Cape. So I want to close by thanking you and the community members who are working like you to support women's needs, especially in rural communities in the Commonwealth. And I think it's time for more advocacy. It's time to pledge to listen, to trust, and invest in women living in rural communities, especially women of color. Thank you.
I know we have about 4 minutes before we have a cutoff for people to run to the ferry. So I'm going to ask Commissioner Tuitt to close us out, or unless Dr. Miller is still here. I know that she had a.
I'm here.
Oh, you are. Wonderful. Commissioner Miller, would you wrap us up, please?
Sure. On behalf of our chairwoman, Sarah Glenn Smith, and the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, and all those present in person and on the Zoom, we would like to thank you for attending tonight's hearing. I want to just definitely give a special thank you to our executive director, Shaitia Spruill, and her team for the preparation that actually went into this meeting and ensuring that all of your testimonies and your concerns were gathered so we as a commission can have this as a guidance to form our legislative agenda. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows this cannot be accomplished without your participation. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please keep in mind that our next hearing will be on Thursday, November 17th in Pittsfield, and additional information will be provided thereafter after this meeting, sometime this week or early next week. We want to encourage you to all sign up for our newsletter that provides what the commission is planning, doing, and all of our important dates for hearings and things outside of the hearings. For those that are present, please know that the information should be there that you can take and grab. For those who are virtually, all this information that I just stated will be in the chat. So please go into the chat and look for the links. Once again, I want to thank you all for attending. Thank you for those that were present, the commissioners that are present, and those that are on virtually, and all of you for attending and offering your heartfelt testimonies. And we felt it. We felt the passion, and we heard you. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much. I gotta say this one.